So, special appreciation for all the viewers and listeners today. Spend a little bit of your time so that we get to offer some of the gifts that life has blessed us with. And to be honest, it's always a privilege. So, and thank you for a pretty neat opportunity here. Web on the web. So, thanks everybody. And lucid dreaming. Well, I'll tell you a little moment about my story, and then I'll launch into the subject. I was, I guess, lucky enough or unlucky enough to have a powerful near drowning experience. I got stuck under a raft, whitewater rafting, and I was a good physicist up until that point, but all of a sudden, right after that, I started remembering up about 10 dreams a day. And wow, it really changed my entire life. Started having dreams that would seem to come true in later days. And then this thing that we're going to talk about tonight, lucid dreams. So very interesting that I could be awake within a dream while my physical body was asleep. Very strange. And it was way outside of my physics training, so that started my whole query and exploration into how can I kind of keep the science and all my prior training and add in, I guess, this what I now call subjective science, these amazing experiences that were happening every night. And to make a long story short, I kind of ended up at the Stanford Lucid Dreaming Research, working alongside pioneer Dr. Stephen LaBerge. And that was really fun, and lots of interesting things going there, and I felt really honored to work with such a great researcher. So lucid dreaming, yeah, big topic. Yeah, since inception, there's been lots of media and press and excitement and buzz. I guess visually, for the first time, people can see what's possible. You know, a really sort of Hollywood, exciting, entertaining movie, but based on truth, and truth that you can actually be awake or kind of aware during a dream. You can be conscious in a dream, which is kind of new for many people. Wow, you mean something happens at night when I'm sleeping? Well, something can happen. And then also based on the idea of shared dreaming, which is a pretty interesting idea. Yes, it is possible, kind of like an invisible inner net, not quite like the internet, but an inner net where we can all connect with and share communications and sort of see friends and stuff. And many people actually have that experience but haven't really maybe applied it practically, or they kind of discard it as, oh, I'm just dreaming of so-and-so, but they never check. So we encourage people, if you shift your beliefs, you might actually experience some of the shared dreaming and some of the lucid dreaming we're going to talk about. So subtle things happen now because we're starting to work with subtle principles. Sort of the software that makes dreams and lucid dreams work is the beliefs and the ideas that we hold about it. So start to think about that. What ideas do you hold about dreams? Well, let me mention some other points in alignment with the movie Inception. We had, I guess, symbolic incorporations. In other words, in sort of the waking world, there was lots of water, or I think at some point somebody had to go to the bathroom, and it appeared in the dream as a bunch of water, etc., pouring through the windows and the rain. That's actually accurate because waking, I guess, perceptions to our physical dreaming body can actually incorporate into our dreams. As for, I guess, an old wives' tale, that if you die in your dreams, then you actually die, which, some people believe. I don't know if anybody on the call or on the conference tonight believes that, but I can tell you here first-person proof that I've died a few times, so if you're hearing me, that means that you don't necessarily die if you die in dreams. But in the movie, they say that you wake up if you die in the dream, and that's not accurate to most people's experience. So you can actually enjoy dying and try an experiment, see how it feels in dreams. So starting to suggest a few different ideas you can try if you go lucid. It doesn't have to be macabre. It doesn't have to be too ugly or horror type dream. You can just sort of pass through your body and see what it's like to be in the afterworld. Let's see here. You can chat on here. Yeah, you can chat on the chat window if you want to make comments. So as we continue down here, let's talk about is there any risks? Is there potential dangers associated with lucid dreaming or with dreaming in general? And I usually don't mention too much about it, but I think it's important just to say that I've seen occasionally a tendency of people interested in dreams not staying quite as grounded, not staying quite as in touch with their waking life, not as connected, not as balanced, if you will. So if you're exploring, a powerful new state of consciousness, yes, waking life is just one station on the dial. Sort of the physical perceptions is just one station on a larger dial. The moment you go conscious in a dream, that's what you realize. You want to definitely stay grounded and keep a pretty good anchor line into your waking life. In other words, eat well, sleep regularly, and make sure that you're getting enough sleep. And and stay social, connected with your friends, because if not, I've seen occasionally people go a little bit beyond balance mentally. So that's just a little word of caution, but nothing to be too afraid of. Most of the applications and benefits are extremely safe and very powerful in waking life, and maybe we'll jump into a few. So how about applications? How could you apply? What could you do in your next lucid dream? And as I share some of these ideas of things you could try out once you become conscious in your dream state, then start thinking, hey, maybe even tonight. Maybe tonight I'm going to go conscious in my dream. And it's quite possible, because there's this strange kind of principle that dreamers seem to get sort of one free lucid dream with every class and course and conference. And I make a little joke about it, but it seems that beginner's mind, that people sometimes have their lucid experience the first night. So start thinking what you'd like to do, because one of the most important, I guess, techniques, and a little tip here, is that if you have an experiment planned, something that you'd like to try out, for example, you want to go flying in your dream, then you have a lot less chance of kind of getting too excited and waking up, which is fairly common. So, you can actually kind of surf around and direct your dream in real time, a little bit like in the movie Inception, probably not quite as much control or full-blown access, but to some degree become the producer and not just the unconscious actor who remembers it after. So what would you like to do the next time that happens? How about fun, adventure, wish fulfillment? Here's a pretty interesting story that's actually a dream I had. Not quite sure, maybe 15 years ago, but very powerful. And I tried a lot of flying practice before this in my lucid dreams, and probably had maybe 50 or 100 lucid dreams up to this point. And tried going as fast as a jet plane at one point, and even faster. And I'd faced a lot of fear, so I have to give you that little precursor to let you know sort of how this dream works. That there was a little bit before this of history, but all of a sudden here I am in my dream, and I have a big glass of milk. And I'm looking at the milk, and I see a head of lettuce floating in the milk, which is pretty unusual. We don't usually drink lettuce, heads of lettuce. So maybe there's some symbolism there too. I'm getting more organic thinking, or who knows. Or maybe milk, the tryptophan is helping me having lucid dreams. But bottom line was, I realized, hey, maybe this is a dream. So I looked at my hands. This is a good way to check reality. Am I awake or dreaming? And in this case, my hands kind of grew extra fingers. If the hands don't stay stable, or if they grow extra fingers, or if you don't have hands, that's a pretty good sign that you're actually dreaming at that moment, right then. So I had extra fingers, and here I was, and I decided, I want to try to go as fast as possible. What is the fastest that somebody could ever go in the dream? What is pure speed? So I decided to ask the dream, and this is kind of a little technique also. You can kind of put a question out to the dream, or the awareness behind the dream, or you can kind of suggest to yourself or to the larger wisdom at hand, hey, I'd like to go the fastest speed possible. So that was the experiment I tried. And so I started speeding up, started picking up a lot of speed. And then all of a sudden, I guess as I was going pretty fast, I started getting a little bit of fear, and then this thought came. And the thought said, wow, if I go any faster right now, I'm going to die and never wake up. So this is where I needed kind of the history of my other dreams. But I thought, okay, wait a minute. I'd faced that fear of kind of scary thought before, and I never seemed to die in waking life. So I don't know, let's do or die, or let's see what's going to happen. But I wasn't afraid, and I just decided to kind of give my okay. Let's just try it. I'm not going to die. I'm safe in bed asleep. And all of a sudden, it must have been kind of like somebody pressed the warp drive. Maybe Scotty was there on the Star Trek Enterprise. And all of a sudden, it just went into some incredible experience. I can't really describe it, of pure speed. Very exciting. And then, I kind of looked backwards to see what had just happened. I was kind of reviewing, wow, what had gone on a moment before when I was experiencing pure speed. And I saw that I was an electron, an electron inside an RCA circuit. So maybe that's what a physicist shaman ends up trying out as he experiences the different animals of the physics realm. So an interesting experiment, pure speed. Maybe that's something you'd like to try. There's lots of fun, adventure, wish fulfillment applications. Just check a few. How about guidance? You might even get life path guidance. Like I had a powerful guidance dream that's maybe a dozen years ago, 15 years ago. I saw myself going around the world and having the great privilege and honor to speak and present on international media, and actually also perform music. And that dream, to some degree, is starting to come true. So thanks to you all for listening, because you're actually helping me fulfill one of my greatest needs, I guess, the vision for my life path. But I say it not to toot my horn too much, but to kind of show an example that hey, we might even get guidance about what's the most fulfilling path. And actually, in native cultures worldwide, this is how a lot of the youth, when they're kind of coming of age, choose their whole direction for their life and for their, I guess, quote unquote, career. So if people are kind of searching and wondering, hey, what would fulfill me the most and what would give my gifts to people around me in my life, you might even dream on it. And there's official dream incubations, rituals that you can try. Oh yeah, so a question just came through here. Do we plan the dream or does it happen to us? We'll probably address that a little more near the end when I talk about dream control. Just kind of watching the timeline here. But I will just say that lucidity is kind of like the RPM needle on your car. It's not fully on or off. It's kind of, sometimes you're a little bit lucid and you kind of realize it's a dream, but you don't have control. Other times you start thinking strange thoughts like, wow, if I could fly for quite a while, I know I'd be in a dream, but since I can only fly for 20 seconds, I guess I'm not dreaming. Or other things. You can see different parts of our brain are actually switched on and off in kind of strange patterns, so the logic may not fully be there. And that's a little longer answer to say sometimes we have more control and we can kind of produce and direct and all of a sudden dream with our favorite movie star by intention, and other times it sort of happens more to us. I'll just mention actually the most powerful consciousness principle that really is the important thing to remember with all lucid dreamings, and actually with life also, because in the teleclasses I teach lucid living. And that is, we can't always change the out there scenario, what's in front of me, what I'm experiencing. We can't change the outer scenario or the people reacting to us, etc. But we can always change our own experience. We can change our interpretation of the event, and then our emotions will follow in dreams and in life. So, for example, if we're in a nightmare, a super scary nightmare, in a chase nightmare, we don't have to, run away from the pursuer. We can kind of say, hey, wait a minute, I'm stuck in fear, fight and flight. But maybe I could do something different, just like dreamer Mimi, who I worked with. Now, she has an interesting name, too, sort of from a psychological point of view, me. But in this case, Mimi was having recurring nightmares where she was being chased and pursued, and really upsetting. And she said it would ruin her day at the office. She would be really tired and kind of stressed, etc., even just waking up. And recurring at least about every week. And science shows that about 3 or 4% of people, up to about 4% of people, depending where and what age, have nightmares actually every night, or at least a few a week. So this is a pretty serious problem, and here's a possible solution, one possible solution. Mimi thought, if I can learn to become conscious in my dream, then maybe I can change the ending. Maybe I can, stand my ground or do something different. So she kind of tried some of the practices and techniques that we'll give you a little later on the call. And she was able, in her first, or I think second night that she tried it, because she was started to having that recurring nightmare. This time she said she was in a car being chased, and she looked in the rearview mirror and said, oh my goodness, he's right behind me, hot on my heels. So she hopped out of the car in a parking lot, ran, and all of a sudden whirled around and said, oh my gosh, this is my dream, and you can't hurt me. And there was kind of a pause, and for the first time, she saw his eyes, and she said, the pursuer had beautiful, loving eyes and looked really friendly, and he said to her, Mimi, I'm running after you to tell you I love you. Not that I want to hurt you, but you've always been running, so what to do? And he kind of took her hands, and I guess psychological integration melted into her entire body, and she woke up with a few things. First of all, she felt very energized and pretty excited because she'd had a lucid dream, or a conscious dream. Second thing was, and she reported this later, and I checked with her a little while, I think a year or two after, she never had that nightmare again. So maybe she changed some neural pathways, she healed some emotional trauma, who knows. We don't necessarily have to interpret what happened, but the application, the benefit was she never had the nightmare again. And here's the most important kicker, and this is really what I want people to consider, is she said she was also able to kind of practice that same emotional skill at work in her office when she'd sort of be with colleagues or maybe with her boss. Normally she'd kind of shy away and not speak her truth, or she wouldn't say her opinion. She's found herself being a little more assertive and kind of standing her ground and saying, well, that's really beautiful and a good idea what you just shared, but it doesn't feel right because of this and that. And she said it made shifts in her professional relationship and in her personal relationship too. She felt a little more empowered. So lots of really incredible things happen with this kind of deep shift in her psyche, in this case, lucid dream, where she faced her pursuer. So anybody with nightmares, kind of think of how could you face the fear? How could you dialogue with the pursuer, do something different, or very worst case scenario, fly away. You don't need to wake up and run away because you're safe in bed.